What's up, y'all? We are live here at SMB Trading, guys. A little recap video for today. Not a great day. Again, another shit show for me. The markets are green, but God, just some brutal price action today. Brutal. And I know it sounds like I could use it as an out a lot of times, but just like I'm watching live streams of other traders, and there are times where the price action in the market is just absolutely disgusting, and it's difficult to trade. And I would say these past I mean, shit, ever since Friday, it's just been ever since Friday, so about 3 days, it's just been nauseating price action. Yesterday was just a chop fest. Well, yesterday and basically Friday too. I mean, we kind of just went straight up on Friday. Then yesterday's full on chop fest, and then today we get a big old gap up, and I get way too bullish right out of the gate. And what do? We go down and fill most of the gap immediately. And then we had Powell talk, so we got a dump and then a rip off of that. So it's just been really crappy price action. Um, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that. I need to be able to admit it because that is one of the skills as a trader is being like, all right, this price action is just dog water. I'm gonna just fucking lose money no matter what I try to do here. I just need to be very small size, not go aggressive. Try to maybe even not do weekly call options or just don't do call options at all because those have not been working. So that is one of the skills as a trader. Just know when times are terrible because the good times always come back, and you just want to have money for the good times. You don't want to lose money trying to trade through this shit. But then on the other hand, I'm just like, I'm still a new trader. I'm still trying to be like, there's always opportunity. Every day I wake up, there's money to be made out there. Go out there and just swing for the fences. And I just, I mean, even pros have this shit is just hard to trade in. It's like, why would you try to force trades during the hard times when the good price action comes back? It always comes back eventually. I mean, even this past price action in like the whole past month, it's been great if you've been looking to the downside. I just have not been looking to the downside because I'm such a pro. So that kind of movement's fine. But now we just got like so much chop around the 400 area on SPY, and we finally broke out to the upside. We're finally going to fill this gap, or actually, we did fill this gap to the upside. So that's nice. So we do have a little upside breakout. So I am getting slightly more bullish for the short term. So with that said, I've added a swing. I know I'm swinging in this market. I must be insane, but I'm adding a swing on Square because what do we have here? At least for now, we have Square has had this weird consolidation right here around this key level at 85, and right here we've tapped this, tapped it, tapped it. We've tapped this resistance like 4 times now, and the fifth time, or 6 times, and the fifth time we broke it. So I like that we've finally broken that. I'm gonna wait and see tomorrow, and I only bought 20 shares. I'm not in any calls. I'm not doing any of that. I only bought shares. There is still a gap to the downside, but I think um, the most oversold sectors are going to be the ones that have the craziest short squeezes, and Square is shorted to the tits. So I think it is a good buy right at this price. The low has been 65, so obviously better price down there. But I was waiting to see if this level was ever going to break, and we finally broke it. So I added shares here. And I'm gonna ride those out. Probably try to sell them off by the end of this week. Uh, but yeah, 20 shares. So I mean, a 10% move in Square would be like $160 gain. Not bad. I could easily do that in a day if we get a crazy green day tomorrow or any day for the rest of the week. But let's get to the trades. So first thing, what do? Wake up, and this one really stings. Another one, another stock where I did it twice in a row. It's so it's so frustrating because I am right in the end. I like not always, but it's the worst when you end up being right. And if you just would have held, you would have made a lot of money. But today we gap up. We gap up. AMD comes up to this level. On this green candle, we break it. So I add a call there. I had a call like right at the, which is just dumb. So I need to just not, just stop it. Just darn, I don't know why I buy calls like within the first 15 minutes of open because it's just guaranteed to always get a reversal. and I just got a terrible entry, so I bought a call right at the top of this candle, and then we immediately reject this level. And then we come up, we reject it, we break it, reject it, so I finally just sell off. I'm like, all right, AMD's not doing anything. This is going to be another day where we immediately just go to fill the gap to the downside. But what do we do? No, no, no. We didn't do that. The market saw I sold my call for a grand total of minus $70, so terrible loss to start my day off on. So mark that down. We got $70 loss in this AMD call, but then what do we do? AMD has the biggest divergence I've seen in forever from AMD, and like literally this whole year. Like I've never seen the Nasdaq was going down and AMD just didn't give a shit. It just went straight up. So this call ended up just ripping. And if I would have waited for the break and hold of this level and just like re-entered, like this just would have absolutely printed. And these levels are so money on AMD. So we break this level right here, this 3820 fib level, and then we come up to this next fib level, and it's tapped off of it 3 times now. So these levels are just super good. I got on AMD. So that one's very, very frustrating. Would have been a big win. I think it ended up going... So right as of now, it's worth $300. I sold the thing at $120. So yeah, that was a day maker. Just so very extremely absurdly frustrating. It's one thing when you lose money, but then you're like, hey, I cut my losses, that's good. But that's our thing when this happens, and you would have had a day made if you just would have held. But then you can't just like, because I always do that, and then I'll be in my head where I like buy a call, but then I'm like, ah, shoot, you remember that one that you sold too early and it just ripped? And then the next time you try to hold one and it doesn't do that, it just keeps losing money. So it's a terror. I just have to look at the setup. And after that fat loss, I mean, I took the $70 loss, and I was just like, screw AMD, I'm done with it. I stopped looking at it. I need to not do that either, because then if I was just watching, I would have seen this level break. Or even if I waited for the break of this level, I would have bought, and it just did nothing but climb all day until Powell talked, and then it came back here and retested VWAP perfectly and bounced right off of it back up to that level. So that is really, really upsetting. Very, very upsetting. This price action, I mean, God, it's brutal, man. It's been a rough stretch. And then, so naturally, being the idiot I am also, I see Nvidia. What does Nvidia do? We get this big green candle on open. We're consolidating. We test this level. We break it. So I'm like, we're breaking this level. Get in now. And I bought a call at the literal tippy top of Nvidia. We broke the level. I didn't wait for the candle close. Impulsive buy. And the problem with doing what I said I shouldn't do about how I shouldn't think, oh, if I hold this call, it'll turn out like the other ones where I sold too early. But the problem with doing that is just because I bought this with in mind. I bought this call with Friday in mind, this last Friday, where we opened green and things just went straight up. And I was like sitting there all day Friday and I didn't touch anything. And then I was like, wow, why did I not buy any calls? So today I was like, fuck it. I'm going to hit the big ones. I'm going to hit Nvidia. I'm going to hit AMD calls. Weekly calls are going to be huge. They were not huge. So Nvidia, I buy a call first thing in the morning. I don't know why I bought AMD and Nvidia calls. It was just me. I woke up. I saw a huge gap up, and I'm like, this is it. I'm so I don't know why I do this. So stupid. So $77 loss on that. Brutal. So that's a grand total of negative 147 within the first 20 minutes of today. And then... this is just so incredibly frustrating. So what do finally, the first time this entire year probably, where I wasn't just hedging. Well, I guess I was hedging, but I swung an overnight NASDAQ put. And what do we do on the NASDAQ? We gap up huge. We gap up like 2% on the NASDAQ, and I'm holding a fucking put. So the put, I got a huge loss on this put. So minus 173 on this put, because I just thought, hey, we'll fill the gap. But we didn't. So that brings us to a grand total of 320 lost on the day already. That was it's like I swing calls and then they don't do anything, and then the next day, if I would have swung calls that day, they would have gone great. But it just didn't work out today. So I swung my puts because yesterday was so weak. I thought yesterday the volume was just so like non-existent, and today the volume's also non-existent. So it's a little worrying. Very weird. Like look at how low this volume is. It's crazy. But yeah, I swung a put, and of course for the first time in a very long time, the Nasdaq decides to gap up. The one time I buy a put to hold and to hedge myself. I guess I'm glad I sold it when I did. It could have been a way bigger loss, but then there was a chance for me to get out earlier and only make $100 loss. But it's like how do I time this so badly? It's ridiculous. It's literally I get to the point where I'm just like, what? Why am I like even trying to like guess what is going to happen in this market? I just should not have anything overnight. It's so very frustrating. It's crazy. Just for no reason we gap up. Literally no reason. A day of chop of where the market doesn't want to do anything, and then that's the worst when we gap up. So of course every time we gap up, uh, we always go immediately down to fill the gap. But when we gap down, we never go up to fill the gap when we gap down. It's always that just shows you how much bearish sentiment is in the market right now. Every time we have a gap down, there's never ever any follow up to the upside to try to fill that gap. It always just continues down. Like right here, gap down. What do we do? Just went straight down. Right here, gap down. We just kept going straight down. Here we go. Here's another one. Gap down, just go straight down. Gap down, we almost filled the gap, went straight down. Gap down, straight down. So then you gap up and you're like, hey, maybe we'll go straight up. Nope, always straight down, even on the gap up. So the market is just so full of bearish sentiment. But then I try to buy a put and I lose money on it. So it's just like, I must be taking crazy pills. Like, how can I never get this right? Why? I don't get it. But then it ultimately comes down to like I just shouldn't have been in the put to begin with. I should have just been risk off. This market is just bipolar; it does whatever it wants. So, uh, yep. So we're already at a 320 loss. Next trade I take is what did I do next? Was it Apple? Let's see. Yes, it was Apple. Yes. So then we jump in on Apple. And this one was pretty decent. So we got this big move at like 8:30. We got this big move to the upside. I see we're pulling back. I have this key level here, 148 marked. I'm watching to see if we get support at that level. So I buy a call preemptively, thinking we'd find support at that level and bounce off of it, but we did not. We come down. I'm holding the call, and then we eventually do keep climbing up to the upside. So I think I ended up selling it once we retook this level. I saw we rejected it, so I waited again. Then we tested it, and then we took it. But then what I said would happen earlier ended up happening later, of course. So we did get the break, and then we get the retest of the level and bounce off of that. But I ended up taking what, like $16. That was literally just like I need a goddamn win today. For my confidence is at literally zero. This win, even though it's only $16, the confidence it brings me is worth it. But yeah, that was a decent win. So minus 16 to the 320. So we're at negative 304 for the day. What do I do next? I think I get a. So I had a couple Nasdaq calls. Where did I get that first one? Oh, so I bought the first one. Yeah, here at 825. Yeah, so actually I did buy a Nasdaq call after we broke this level at 302, and we kept climbing. So I caught that move nicely, and that was also just I need any kind of win right now, a confidence builder, and I literally only made like 25 bucks off of it, so not terrible, not great, but then the next play I get is so this was like just badly executed. We had a climbing or ascending wedge here on SPY. So SPY, we gap up, immediately go down. We fill like half the gap. We bounce here at this key level I had, 402.62. We bounce off that level like literally perfectly. It's kind of wild. We bounce off of that right here. Yeah, 402. And then we climb, we chop around, we're climbing, and then we get this big ol' ascending wedge, which is a bearish reversal pattern, and it was bearish. We reversed, we broke out, it tanked. I just held the puts way too long. Like I was really confident that I'm so bullish, therefore I'll inverse myself and just go bearish, and that will just keep dumping all day and eventually fill the gap to the downside. but we didn't. So I took a $40 loss on that, plus 40. So that one was bad. That was just, and then I waited way too long. I saw we tested VWAP, bounced off of it, so I'm holding here, and then we get this huge green candle. And I'm glad I sold when I did. It could have been a huge loss. So that was, I mean, relative to all my other losses, was a small loss. So we're at negative 344 of the day. And then I ended up grabbing a Nasdaq call. Once we where do we go? Yeah, once we got the EMAs across over right here on the Nasdaq, I grabbed a call and got this really big move to the upside. Just another very small. I mean, at this point, I'm like, I can't get a good, I can't get something right to save my life, barely. So I took 37 on that. So minus 37. What does that bring us? Right at like another negative $300 day. So yeah, man, I gotta give my head a shake. This has been peak frustration, all-time highs, and it's not like it's frustrating because there's very clear moves I'm just missing. It's frustrating because I do this to myself. Like, I should just be sitting here. I see this price action. I should literally just look at it, but not be looking for any plays or like just waiting for levels to break. Instead, I see these little tiny moves. I'm like, oh, I could hit something on that. I can make that, and that's just always like, especially when you're down so bad like I am. It's always the pressure, the voice in your head to be like, you got to be making money. There's always money to be made out there. That's what you watch every fucking douchebag on TikTok with entrepreneur in their bio, and there's great trades everywhere. You just got to find them if you just look hard enough. But I don't think that is true at all. I think there are times where if you just literally sit there and do nothing, you are doing the smartest thing you could possibly do. But if you do decide to take trades, just see them through. And I did decide to take trades. So this is 2 days in a row where my days could have been made, but I fucking sold way too early. On Facebook, it did the same thing, and it's just like, how do I do that twice in a row? How do I find the one stock that is diverging from QQQ, and I mean diverging as in QQQ is going down, but this stock's going up. So I did that with Facebook yesterday, sold the fucking call too early, and then AMD did the same thing. So it just sucks. It does suck. There's no way around it. So just gotta watch the levels. I mean, this wasn't just like some random thing that I didn't see coming, but it's so hard in this market. I've been like so terribly trained to expect everything to follow Nasdaq because for the most part everything has been following Nasdaq. There's been like no divergence. That's why all of these fucking fake gurus, these stock traders on Twitter, that's why they're all just trading SPY and Nasdaq now, because like there's no finding the diverging stock. So it's so hard when I see AMD gap up and then hit this level, reject off of it. I bought a call. It's so hard to do that. Well, you look at Apple, and Apple's doing the exact opposite. Apple gapped up, hit a level, it's just rejecting, tanking, tanking, tanking. You look at Microsoft, it's doing the same thing, just tanking. Nvidia, but then you're like, oh, how about the other semiconductors? Other semiconductors are doing the same thing, they're all tanking. So it's so hard in this market where everything has trained me to expect every stock to move with the indexes. It's hard for me to spot any outliers and actually trust them. But AMD was a very clear outlier today. Just super high bullish volume today all day. So, yep. I don't know. It's really I am getting to the point where I know it's because of where I enter. If I entered AMD, if I waited for confirmation that this level was going to get broken, but I was still watching, if I would have waited to buy a call like right down here at a cheaper price, I would have been Gucci because I mean, obviously if you buy the fucking bottom, you're going to be good for calls, but I would have just been in a much more comfortable place. Instead, I always set myself up I buy the top. I'll buy a call like at the top, and then I set myself up for failure because once we get any kind of downwards action, it cuts in half, and then I'm like, well, I gotta sell. This one's not working out. But then it's like the setup can still be there, but I just got such a bad entry that it looks like it's failing, and my P&L is just going down so much that I'm just like, this setup it just ain't working. I expected this to go straight up, and that's like just a dumbass way to look at it. So I need to just not, especially, and that's another thing about options. If you do it right in the beginning of the day, premiums are way higher for call options if it's going up because everyone is buying calls because of this upward price action. So you buy calls up here, then you're buying calls from people that bought the calls like yesterday or bought them right at open, and they're dumping them off on you, and you're paying way higher because everyone else is buying them and they're all late to the party. So you're just your premium just gets immediately destroyed for the first next red candle, and that's exactly what happened to me. My premium just got cut in half on the value of my contract. So that's another thing I need to just be willing to buy a call in the red because the prices are way better when everyone's getting out of their calls than they are when everyone's trying to get in the calls. Like obviously, it's just basic supply and demand. So super duper frustrating. What else? I don't think I did anything else today. Um, Still holding Nvidia. Nvidia had a good day. Still have our Square. Oh, Square's already down 20 bucks. Of course it is. Let's see. I'm sure Square lost that level. It did. Of course it did. Yeah, I'm not sure why I'm even swinging this. I'm not sure if I want to, honestly. Let's see what this last 10 minutes does. So I think that brings us to a grand total of minus 307. I mean, actual day trades, it was like a minus 130, but then the stupid put I swung adds like 170 to that, so just another minus 1% day. I don't know. It sucks. I hate these days where Nasdaq just gaps up because then it just you want to be bullish. It's so hard to see a gap up. You expect the gap up to be like, wow, that's a good thing. We must be going up. But then it just immediately sells off. And it's so counterintuitive to see a gap up and just immediately be like, all right, I'm shorting the shit out of this because then it just immediately drops down every time it gaps up. So when it gaps up, I just need to I just be risk off. Like either buy puts or just don't touch anything. Because there's just so much bearishness in this market where every gap up just immediately gets sold off. And then when it does gap up, also it always brings terrible price action. It's just we go straight down and then we go up and then we chop around here from 8:30 all the way to 11 for an hour and a half, and then the next big move is straight down because Powell, and then straight back up. So just another one of these days where it just super duper ugly price action. I hate it. I hate it. So it's only Tuesday, so we can still be saved. I need to just forget about today, forget about yesterday. It's just been terrible, awful price action. I need to focus on my entries. My entries, if I'm doing calls, my entries are just everything because they dictate my anxiety. Because when I get an entry, when you buy a call at the tippy top, and then it starts going down, your premium just gets roasted. But if I just wait like 5 minutes, wait for some pullback, you get a much better entry on your calls. And then it's because I look at the P&L and I just ignore the setup. I'm just like, oh my god, I'm down like $100. I gotta get out of this now. And then the setup, then I sell and I look at the setup and it's like, wow, it still ended up going straight up. So if I just hold off and be patient, not too patient though because sometimes I miss it. But yeah. Just rough. Just a rough one. So it's been a bad week. It's probably been the worst week I've had. I mean, actually just trying to day trade, it's been the worst week I've had in recent memory, I think. And I look at the charts and it's like, yeah, of course. Look at this. Look at what the Nasdaq has been doing. Like, look at this battle at 300. Of course, it's been my worst fucking week. I'm trading in a market that has zero direction, so of course it's gonna be a bad week. I can't really even get mad. I mean, like hedging yourself is always smart, but I just went too aggressive, and I was so frustrated yesterday that I was just like, fuck this stupid market. Of course it's gonna go down. I'll buy a put, and it didn't. We gapped up for no reason. So yeah, that's the rant for today. Hopefully better times ahead. I was pretty well planned for today, I think. I just I don't know. If I get that feeling, if I because the first two trades I immediately got that feeling. I was like, "Oh, it's going to be one of those days today, huh?" So, I just need to just turn the computer off, walk away, go take a walk for a couple hours, come back and wait for some movement or something. Set some alerts on my phone so I don't just like sit here and just let that urge inside. It is like gambling. It's like you get your ass handed to you at fucking blackjack, and you're like, fuck that dealer, man. I can make money doing this. I'm not that freaking bad at this. I can take the money back, and then you trade with all the wrong reasons. So yep, that's where we at. I'll take a look at Nvidia real quick, and Nvidia does look nice to the upside, sorta, kinda. We almost have an inverse head and shoulders. We're taking the levels nicely. We still, no, we still have a little bit of a gap to fill to the upside on Nvidia. So I'm watching to see if it can actually do that. If we fail to fill that, I would imagine we're gonna go back down. But I kind of like the setup here on Nvidia. There's so many gaps to the upside, dude. It's so crazy. Huge gaps to the upside. So another one that's super heavily shorted, and I think if it gets some momentum, we'll see some nice upward movement. It has earnings next week as well, so um, otherwise, what's Square doing? Is Square gonna hold this level? Oh, it's trying. Look at the battle at this level. It's trying so hard to hold it. Just another crazy low volume day. So, like, look at that volume. Like, what happened? Everyone just, like, stopped trading. I mean, and then that's the other thing. It's like, no wonder I'm trying to freaking. No wonder I'm having these terrible days. There's, like, just no volume. Like, apparently no one else is trying to trade in this market either because the volume is just dead. It's nuts. Actually, nuts. 80 million shares, and then just last week we had a day that had, like, 140. Like, what happened? Or no. No, 60 million. Yeah, we're only at 60 million shares today. Not even. And then there was just last week there was a day Thursday that had 140 shares traded. Like what the God damn. So another man, I don't know if I even want to swing Square honestly. It almost feels like it's literally impossible to swing long in this market. It's literally impossible because it's like I mean, if you were trying to swing long Nvidia, but you didn't hold it overnight, like there's just literally no way to make any money on it. I mean, look what it did today. It opened right here, and now it's closing right at where it opened. So it's like if you caught that, you would have had it. If you would have bought first thing of the day on Friday, you would have gotten some movement. But there's so many just like fake movements overnight that immediately fall apart. That is so difficult to swing trade. But I'm confident. I think Square is just stupidly shorted, and I know we're gonna get a friggin' bear market rally eventually, and I want to have some skin in the game, something that can actually passively make money, so I don't fuck it up trying to day trade. Hey, we closed above that level. Closed above it. Come on, Square, go back up. But yep, we got a grand total of minus 307 today. Hopefully tomorrow I can try to regain some of that. I would just want to have a green week at the very least. But if the market doesn't give me something to work with, I just there's nothing I can do. There's just no reason to try to force money out of a market that is not gonna give you good opportunities. So I'm just gonna write that down. Don't force during chop. Gonna look at that first thing tomorrow. If I see chop, if we don't break any range of anything, I'm just hands off, not touching anything. I today is just today and yesterday have just been awful days. So that's my recap for today. We'll take a look at tomorrow. Hopefully others, some of y'all folks had better days than I did. Some of y'all folks don't fucking watch this. All right, I'll catch you guys later.